Hello all, welcome to another session of the environmental studies classes. In this session, we'll be looking into deforestation, its causes, impacts due to mining, dam building on the environment, forest, and also water, its uses, overexploitation of surface and groundwater. The learning objectives of this session is to understand what is deforestation, its impacts due to mining and dam building, what is water and its uses, and also the effects of overexploitation of groundwater. After the session, you'll get to understand what is deforestation, the effects due to mining and dam building, water and its uses, and also the effects of overexploitation of surfaces and groundwater. Over to the session. First, we'll be looking into what is deforestation. As it is stated here, deforestation refers to the cutting, clearing, and removal of rainforest or related ecosystem into less biodiverse ecosystems such as pasturelands, cropland, or plantation. It is nothing but the purposeful clearing of forest land, which is later on converted into non-forested area. As we know, the ecosystem that the forest creates plays a very important role in the Earth's survival. So deforestation is incredibly harmful because forest is one of the most valuable resources in which the Earth provides us clean air, food, other sources, and also provides natural habitat and supports biodiversity. So clearing such a resource can directly and indirectly affect the living beings that are present in that particular ecosystem. Now let's talk about the causes of deforestation. The causes of deforestation includes raw materials for industry, shifting cultivation, developmental projects such as dams, overgrazing, mining, etc. This figures shows how what are the effects of deforestation. Effects of deforestation. Forests are a complex ecosystem that affects most or almost every species on the planet. So when we degrade this forest, it can set up a devastating chain of events both locally and around the world. So this, in other terms, we can say the effect of deforestation includes loss of species, affects water cycle, affects soil erosion, then life affects the life quality, then causes disturbance to the native people, and so on, and the list goes on. Now let's talk about dam, which is of course one important uh, practice for that leads to deforestation. When we talk about dams, it has both advantages as well as disadvantages. When we talk about advantages, it includes it checks floods, generates electricity, reduces water and power shortage, provides irrigation to low areas of where there is insufficient waters, promote fisheries, promotes employment. So these are the advantages of setting up of a dam. But when we talk about the disadvantages, the list is more. It leads to loss of forest areas, large areas under submergence, relocating of tribal people and tribal communities as well as farmers, local riots arises, flash flood arises, then seismic changes. Seismic changes is nothing but sudden changes. Then microclimatic changes also occur, then spreading of disease. All this is in associate with the disadvantages of that. So nowadays, for the sustainability, people are looking forward in creating small dams or mini hydro projects so that much area, much forested area is not being destroyed, so that we can save the natural habitat and the biodiversity. Next, when we talk about mining, what do you mean by mining? Mining is the process of extracting minerals from the earth's surfaces, minerals such as iron, gold, coal, everything is extracted from the earth's surfaces. So the main purpose of mining is to provide raw materials which and minerals and metals which are important or critical for the economy. But when we talk about the environmental impacts of mining, uh, environmental impacts of mining, it includes, it pollutes air, it pollutes the drinking water, harmful to wildlife and habitat, or and also in total we can say that it creates a permanent scar to the natural landscapes. So as it is stated here, mining is generally a very destructive to the environment. It is one of the main causes of deforestation. In order to mine, trees and vegetation are cleared and burned. With the ground completely being bare, large-scale mining operation uses huge bulldozers and excavators to extract minerals and metals from the soil. So this is how the process of mining takes place. As we stated earlier also, the environmental effects of mining include the mining processes and the use of mineral resources uses large amount of energy, which causes disturbance to the land, the air, and the water, which ultimately leads to the pollution of all the forms. So land is scarred and the surface is disrupted. Cleaning of this mess, which is created after the mining, causes or may cost billions and billions of dollars also. And subsidence from underground mining can cause pipelines to break. There is breakage of pipelines, again it is contaminating the soil or the water that is present there. Then the mining waste contains toxins and acid drainage contaminates streams and groundwaters. So if at all there is a leakage is there, and moreover these mining waste contains toxins. Ultimately, it affects the soil and the water and what the ecosystem that is present there, which directly as well as indirectly affects each and every living organism in that ecosystem. So, in general, we can say the main environmental impacts of mining are metal contamination of groundwater, metal contamination of surface water, physical impacts, acid drainage, cyanide, air emission. So this from this pictures you can see how badly the environmental gets affected after the process of mining or during the process of mining. So cleaning up this mess cost billions and billions of dollars. So it is not an easy task. It can easily destroy the ecosystem that is present there, but to bring back that ecosystem, it is not that easy. So sustainable mining practices should be done in such a way that it considers the economy, it considers the environment, it considers the community that is present there, in such a way that proper safety measures are used and efficiently the mining processes must be done. So these are some of the sustainable practices that is being employed, that can be employed. Now let's look into another aspect, that is water or water resources. Water resources are the resources that are potentially useful for the human purposes like drinking, irrigation, and etc. When we talk about water, we can say that water is life. When we talk about the human body, almost 80% of the human body composition is water. And what is water? Water is a chemical substance, a liquid ambient condition, often coexist on Earth in the forms of solid, liquid, and vapor state. Solid in the sense it will be in ice form, vapor state in the sense, or gaseous state in the sense, water vapor or steam form. The properties of water include it acts as a universal solvent, it has high surface tension, it has an anomalous expansion. So these are the properties of water. When we talk about the facts of water in associate with Earth, world ocean covers about three-fourths of the Earth's surface. So you can imagine how much is the land and how much water covers. So the freshwater constitute a very small proportion of this enormous quantity. Even though three-fourths of the world is covered by water, only a very a small proportion of water is available for human consumption. About 2.7% of the total water available on the Earth's surface is fresh water, which we can consume, and of which about 79% is the frozen, lies in the frozen form in the polar region, and the other 20% is present as groundwater. The rest is available in the lakes, rivers, atmosphere, and so on. So the uses of water, as we know, in our day-to-day activities, also we can see for some or the other purpose we use water. So the uses of water can include agriculture, drinking, washing, transportation, fire extinguisher, in food processing, in industrial application, and so on. The list goes so on, because we cannot live without water. Water is an essential basic need for all living organisms. So now let's talk about the hydrological cycle or the water cycle. This hydrological cycle or water cycle is nothing but the sum total of all processes in which the water moves from the land and the ocean surfaces to the atmosphere, and then comes back again to the land and ocean surface in the form of precipitation. So that is the image that is shown in this figure. In other words, we can say that it is a continuous circulation of water within the Earth's hydrosphere, and is driven by, and this action is driven by the solar radiation. So this is what is shown in this figure, and how the this continuous process happens. Then the sources of water include, as we know, from rain, from the groundwater, from surface water, from the ice caps and glaciers, all are sources of water. The groundwater are also, from groundwater we call it as aquifer, which can be confined and unconfined. From the surface waters, ponds, lakes, rivers, artificial resources are all sources of water. So this is an image of the sources of water in a pictorial way. So when we talk about groundwater, the water which seeps into the ground is called as groundwater, or water which percolates or infiltrates down in the ground. It is a huge source of fresh water. The layers of sediments or rocks that is highly permeable and contains water is known as aquifers. So this aquifers can be confined and non-confined. Confined is nothing but when water is seen or is seen sandwiched between two impermeable layers, that is of rocks or sediments. So when water is seen between two layers of rocks or sediment, such type of water is known as confined water. And confined aquifers is nothing but is recharged by simply seeping down from the earth. The water that seeps down to the earth surfaces, which is permeable to the earth material. So this is called as unconfined aquifers. So in this figure, we can see what is confined aquifers and non-confined aquifers. Confined aquifers, we can see it gets recharged, and also we can see these water present in between or sandwiched between the rocks or sedimental layers, whereas unconfined aquifers are the water that seeps into the ground and gets recharged. The effects of excessive use of groundwater is what we are going to look into now. So it includes subsidence. When groundwater withdrawal is more than its rechargeable capacity or rechargeable rate, the sediments in the aquifer get compacted, a phenomenon known as groundwater subsidence. Then the lowering of water table. So mining of water is done excessively in arid and semi-arid semi-arid regions, because we know that water shortage is there. So when there is excessive use of this excessive consumption of mining of water, it leads to the lowering of the water table in those areas. Now, when talking about water logging, when irrigation is done with brackish water, water table level increases, leading to logging, because there is no proper drainage system. So when there is water logging, those land cannot be further on used for cultivation, or the plants won't properly grow because the roots won't be able to get oxygen sufficiently because of this logging of water, which again is another cause of deforestation, we can say. Then water pollution, discharge and dumping of waste in the water resources is another cause of water pollution, which is due to the excessive use of groundwater. Now, when we talk about floods, the causes of floods are heavy rainfall, then prolonged downpour causes overflow of rivers, lakes, leading to floods. Then anthropogenic activities, which includes deforestation, overgrazing, mining, rapid urbanization. It is a very common feature that is seen in the northeastern parts of India and Bangladesh. So now we can see in Assam and all how much the economy, the people, and the livestock in those areas is affected by flood. So it is mainly or indirectly or directly, we human beings itself is the cause of those floods because of our because of the anthropogenic activities that is taking place, or as well as it can be the cause of the natural phenomena because of excessive rainfall. All this directly or indirectly, we human beings play a part in all these disastrous effects. So these are the images of flooded area. From these images itself, we can see how much flood affects the human life. Now, when we talk about drought, we can see the image of a drought here. So when the annual rainfall is below than the normal and less evaporation takes place, the drought condition appears. Again, the causes of drought can be grazing, deforestation, mining, and so on, which ultimately leads to deforestation. So a remedial measure of this drought will be proper crop plantation is one of the remedial measures that is being suggested. Next, we can look into the conflicts over water. Of course, conflicts arises when there is unequal distribution. So when there is unequal distribution of our basic necessity, conflicts, of course, it will arise. So conflicts of over water is a very increasing dispute that is seen in India after the independence. So many river water disputes have erupted since independence. As per the Interstate River Water Dispute Act 1956, that is ISRWD Act 1956, when there is a water dispute happening or arising among two or more state government, the central government receives a request according to the section 3 of this act from any of these states with regards to the existence of water dispute. Thereafter, the proceedings takes place. So one such case which you can refer as the Kaveri water dispute case, which is water conflict that is happening for more than a century. So you can go and refer this case so that you can get a more idea on what is the cause of conflict over the water and how has it arisen and all those things. So this was all about this session. I hope you have learned a lot many things, and I hope you have understood what is deforestation, its causes, the water usages, what is a drought, floods, and all those things. And I would suggest you to go and refer this Kaveri water dispute case so that you get more idea, in-depth idea on what it is. So that is all about the session. Thank you and have a nice day.